Welcome back. We're back with certified sex therapist Emily deAyala and sex and relationship expert Dr. Gabrielle Morrissey. Okay, let's go back to the phone lines. We have James on the line. Good morning, James.
Good morning.
All right. What's your point you want to make this morning?
I think my wife is cheating on Facebook, and I once read a text that she texted a guy that she'll always love him. I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, because even if, and let's define cheating, because a lot of people say it's when you physically get together, but others say if you're emotionally invested, even online, and haven't gotten with the person, that's cheating.
My definition of cheating is a betrayal of intimacy, and so that can go anywhere along the spectrum. When you have suspicions, the cracks are showing.
Yeah, and you start looking around. The tricky part is if he confronts her with this, then most likely she'll come back with, well, what were you doing snooping through my Facebook?
Right.
And so, you know, that kind of creates another set of issues. If he's starting to have suspicions, what I would generally advise is, hey, you know, there's been a couple red flags that has caused me to feel some concern. Can we talk about things? How are you feeling in the relationship? And just kind of see
and that's
where
so
that
hard
goes.
to do because we are afraid of what the answer might be.
True, true. But those conversations can, you know, sometimes go really well and lead to deeper intimacy if the person is willing to meet you there. If they start getting really defensive, that's another red flag.
Everything's fine. What do you mean nothing? Yeah, right. So yeah, open that door. I would say, James, if you can, open that door and say, look, yeah, she's right.
Come at it curious, but not accusatory, if possible.
Yeah,
that's hard in the real world. So I would agree. Best case scenario, that's it. Reality is try to be calm, because when you get all agitated, you say things you don't mean, you come off accusatory, and your emotional brain just absolutely takes over.
Right.
So if you can just at least try to stay calm.
And that's where therapy is great, because you might find out, she says she always loved that other person, when somebody's looking outward, they're missing something possibly inside. Doesn't mean something's wrong with you, James, but you grow apart, and it's hard for us to say, honey, you're just not doing it for me right now. You need to do this, this, and this. It's hard to communicate that way. You don't want to hurt someone's feelings. And you start to fantasize about what it might be like. You almost get your needs met in a fantasy, and sometimes that fantasy becomes reality.
It can take over.
Yeah, so now would be the time to intervene before anything kind of really happens there. All right, Samantha. Good morning, Samantha.
Good morning.
What's your point you want to make?
Well, we've been dating over a year, and he bought us a house to move in together to merge our relationship, and I furnished the house. We furnished the house. He bought me a special chair ottoman. He has been verbally disrespectful in public, severely. It's been 2 weeks I haven't spoken to him. I want my chair. I want out.
I think you've already resolved your issue. But yeah, so it's almost like he can treat you nice when you're together, but when you're out in public, things change.
Yeah, but this just started, and I just want to know, where did this come from? At the same time, I don't care. I want out. Okay.
Put the brakes on for a second. All right, so she said this just started. Is this where we make a mistake in relationships, that we were moseying along fine, all of a sudden one thing they do, and we're like, we're out? Is this the time to say, all right, what's going on here? This is not normally you. What's going on here?
I think probably that conversation would be a better place to start. If this has been a one-time incident, if it, you know, was kind of out of the norm from how he typically treats her, say, yeah, you know, I felt really hurt by your behavior the other day. I want to know what was going on, where that was coming from. Let's talk about it. Again, if the person becomes defensive, walls off, shuts down, not so good of a sign. If they're willing to say, you know what, yes, I agree with you. What I did was wrong. I apologize for that. Here's where it's coming from. You may be able to move on. If it becomes a pattern, the chair is a thing, okay?
Yeah,
your self-respect will always stay with you.
I'm concerned about the chair, because now with the chair, is like, who gets the chair when they become the engagement ring thing? Who gets the chair? Which brings me to another thing, premarital contracts, like, or prenups.
Oh, prenups, yes. You know, in this day and age, it's sometimes for people, they feel it's a conversation worth having, and I can understand that, you know. I think it is fitting for some people, for others, you know, maybe not so much. But I think also as people are getting married a little bit later in life, they may have accumulated more assets, and, you know, I can understand maybe wanting to
My husband and I did it.
that.
He has a business, I have my own stuff, and so we're like, okay, we're good to go. So
it can create a sense of safety in a relationship, which is what it's about more than a fear of, well, we're just doomed. We're obviously going to split up at some point, so we might as well just protect ourselves now. It's not really about
I've already
that.
been through that one.
Yeah. But if you have that sense of safety and you can breathe a sigh of relief as a couple, that's sorted out. We know if the worst happens, I'm taken care of, you're taken care of. But I would back up before anybody gets to that legal stage that they do all of the counseling before that.
Which brings us to Audrey's point. Good morning, Audrey.
Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good
All
morning.
right. So what's your question?
My question is, would you guys encourage premarital counseling, and if so, for how long?
Absolutely. I think premarital counseling, leads people to have some really important conversations that they may not have otherwise had. I mean, I get couples into my office all the time who've been married, 10, 15, 20 years, and I start asking them questions, and they have never discussed it. And
Like, when did you decide that you did not want children and you absolutely
that's
did?
a big
Yes,
one. That's a
that's
big
a big
one.
one.
Yeah, so I think premarital counseling is great. I encourage it. We do it.
And attitudes about money is another one. Save, spend. Religion, cross-cultural differences. Often we think, well, love just trumps all, but we're in the love phase.
Right. We have no issues. We have no issues.
They're perfect, right?
Yeah. And I can't tell you how many times I have a friend who does marital counseling. He says that oftentimes we get like a third comes in and says, all right, we're good to go. We're walking down the aisle. And then another part comes in and says, you know what? We're really good friends, but we shouldn't get married. And then he goes, I actually have people come in and go, you know what? I really just don't even like you. So what were we doing? So
My specific answer to that, though, you asked for a time frame, and I will give you one. I say 18 months. Now, 18
Premarital
months
counseling?
of formal and informal premarital counseling. So you can use a variety of sources. A lot of times it's like a 1-month course, or you go for even just 2 weekends. But I think you need to be engaged in questioning your relationship for 18 months, because it's not until then that the biochemical blinders come off, and then you really see who they
real
are.
person.
And they really are irritated by certain things that they never saw before.
So you gotta see how you handle that.
I say
Ladies,
18 months.
Thank you so much. This is one of those things that we could do for like a 3-hour show. But thank you so much. Got a relationship question that we didn't answer on the show. We have a link to connect you to our therapist on our website, greatdayhouston.com, and we'll do this show again. Since we're talking relationships, we want to know what you think. How soon is too soon to get married? Why or why not? How soon is too soon?
I say it takes at least a year to really know
to
someone.
get engaged, at least, right?
I say don't get married for 18 months.
All right, we will share some of your comments later on in the show. From the Bayou State to the Bayou City, where you can catch the world-renowned Blue Dog collection when we come back.